What if every action you take, every decision you make, and every moral judgment you form is the result of forces far more complex than free will alone? What if human behavior is shaped not just by personality or choice, but by biology, hormones, childhood experiences, culture, and evolution, all acting at once? And what if understanding these forces could make us more compassionate, wiser, and less judgmental? These are the questions explored in Behave by Robert Sapolsky, one of the most comprehensive and thought-provoking books ever written about why humans do what they do. Sapolsky begins with a powerful premise. To understand behavior, you must look backward in time. Not just minutes or hours, but years, generations, and even millions of years. Any human action is the result of layers of influence, from what happens seconds before the behavior, to brain chemistry, to early childhood, to cultural norms, to evolutionary history. Behavior is not simple. It is the outcome of interacting systems. The book starts at the most immediate level. What happens in the brain milliseconds before an action occurs? Sapolsky explains that neurons, neurotransmitters, and brain circuits shape impulses, emotions, and decisions before conscious awareness catches up. By the time you think you have chosen something, your brain has already begun the process. This does not mean humans are robots, but it does mean that free will is constrained by biology. Sapolsky then explores the role of hormones. Chemicals like cortisol, testosterone, oxytocin, and dopamine profoundly influence behavior. Stress hormones can make people aggressive, fearful, or impulsive. Oxytocin can increase trust and bonding, but also intensify in group favoritism and out-group hostility. Hormones do not determine behavior, but they bias it. Context determines how these biological signals are expressed. Another major theme in Behave is the impact of stress. Chronic stress reshapes the brain, weakens self-control, and increases aggression. People under long-term stress are more likely to make poor decisions, react emotionally, and struggle with empathy. Sapolsky emphasizes that understanding stress is essential to understanding crime, violence, addiction, and mental health. The book then moves further back in time to examine development. Childhood experiences leave lasting imprints on the brain. Early trauma, neglect, or instability can alter stress responses and emotional regulation for life. Conversely, stable and supportive environments build resilience. Behavior in adulthood often reflects adaptations made in childhood, even when those adaptations are no longer useful. Sapolsky challenges the idea that people simply choose to behave badly. Many harmful behaviors arise from brains shaped by adverse conditions. This does not excuse wrongdoing, but it does complicate blame. Understanding the roots of behavior allows for more effective and humane responses than punishment alone. Culture plays a massive role in shaping behavior. Norms, values, and expectations influence how biological tendencies are expressed. Aggression, cooperation, gender roles, and moral beliefs vary widely across cultures. Sapolsky shows that biology and culture are not opposing forces. They interact constantly. Culture shapes the brain, and the brain shapes culture. Another critical topic in Behave is morality. Sapolsky examines how humans decide what is right and wrong. Moral judgments are influenced by emotion, empathy, group identity, and context. The same brain systems that process reward and fear also contribute to moral reasoning. This explains why moral decisions are often inconsistent and emotionally charged. The book also explores in-group and out-group dynamics. Humans are deeply tribal. We instinctively favor those we perceive as similar to us and distrust those we see as different. This tendency is rooted in evolution but amplified by culture and politics. Sapolsky explains how quickly the brain categorizes others and how easily this leads to prejudice and dehumanization. One of the most unsettling insights in Behave is how easily ordinary people can commit harmful acts under certain conditions. Authority, conformity, fear, and stress can override empathy and reason. Sapolsky draws on historical examples to show that context often matters more than character. Good people can do terrible things when systems push them in that direction. Sapolsky also examines violence in depth. Violence is not caused by a single factor. It emerges from interactions between biology, environment, inequality, trauma, and culture. Simplistic explanations fail. Reducing violence requires addressing underlying conditions, not just punishing outcomes. Another major section of the book focuses on inequality and its effects on behavior. Extreme inequality increases stress, reduces trust, and damages social cohesion. Sapolsky explains that societies with greater inequality experience higher rates of violence, illness, and mental health problems. Biology responds to social structure. Justice is not just moral, it is biological. The book also discusses addiction and compulsion. Addictive behaviors are not failures of willpower. They are the result of brain changes that hijack motivation and reward systems. Understanding addiction as a neurological and social issue rather than a moral failing changes how we approach treatment and policy. Sapolsky spends significant time addressing free will. While humans experience themselves as choosing freely, those choices are constrained by factors beyond conscious control. This challenges traditional ideas of punishment and responsibility. If behavior is shaped by forces outside awareness, how should society respond to wrongdoing? Sapolsky does not argue for eliminating responsibility. He argues for redefining it. Accountability should focus on prevention, rehabilitation, and harm reduction rather than retribution. Understanding behavior scientifically allows for smarter and more humane systems of justice. The book also explores empathy and compassion. Humans are capable of extraordinary kindness under the right conditions. Cooperation, altruism, and fairness are as deeply rooted as aggression. Sapolsky shows that environments that reduce stress and inequality increase prosocial behavior. Kindness is not naive. It is grounded in biology. Another important theme is the plasticity of the brain. The brain changes throughout life. Experiences reshape neural circuits. This means behavior is not fixed. Change is possible. Understanding the mechanisms of behavior empowers transformation. Sapolsky also emphasizes the importance of humility. When we understand how many forces shape behavior, judgment softens, arrogance fades, compassion grows. This does not mean excusing harm. It means responding wisely rather than reactively. Behave ultimately asks us to rethink how we judge ourselves and others. If behavior is the product of layered influences, then simplistic moral narratives fail. Understanding does not weaken ethics. It strengthens them by grounding them in reality. The deeper message of Behave is that science can deepen morality rather than replace it. Knowledge of the brain, hormones, and evolution can inform better policies, fairer justice systems, and more compassionate societies. Ignorance breeds cruelty. Understanding fosters responsibility. The big takeaway from Behave is profound. Human behavior is complex, contextual, and deeply influenced by forces beyond conscious choice. Recognizing this complexity does not remove accountability. It transforms it. When we understand why people behave the way they do, we can create systems that reduce harm and increase well-being. So, which idea from Behave challenges you the most? The limits of free will? The power of stress and inequality? The role of biology in morality? Or the idea that compassion is strengthened by understanding? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this summary, like this video, subscribe to 10-Minute Books, and tap the bell so you never miss our weekly deep dives into life-changing books. Remember, understanding behavior is the first step toward changing it.